Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. My name is Don Daniel, founder of Pill Method International, and we are live today, not just in Clubhouse on audio app, but we're live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn this morning. And we're just waiting just a few minutes to get started as we, warm things up. So if you have anyone that you know that you want to invite to this show today, come on in. So listen, I want everybody to know that if you're here on Clubhouse and you want to see the examples that we're putting on the screen, you want to go over to YouTube and log in there also on maybe on a separate device and take a look at what we're showing you, because this morning is going to be top notch information you've never heard before. And we're talking about investors who are making money hand over fist. Investors are making money hand over fist, but they're still losing out on millions of dollars they're not making that they could make. Oh my goodness. Let's talk about that today. I want you to understand more about how to borrow money at a discount. Stop giving banks your money. And so we're going to warm things up here. We're going to get started with, our theme music this morning. And I want you to sit back and get out your notebook today. All right, get out your notebook. Find out what's going on with borrowing money. Find out what we have not been taught since 1936 about how all of this works. So let's go ahead and get started. There we are. There we are. We are ready to roll this morning. Listen, I want you to know that you can come on stage in Clubhouse, come on up to the stage and ask questions. You can put your questions in the chat, either on Clubhouse, or if you're watching us on YouTube or Facebook, you can put your questions in there too. But I'm also going to invite anyone who wants to join our studio audience here on YouTube. I'm placing that link in the chat, okay, right now. So there you are. There is a link in the chat right now for you to log in and ask your questions live on YouTube, and you can enter our studio even on camera. Oh man, listen, I see you, Marcus Smith, of watching us on YouTube, and you're letting Maya Robinson know that she needs to be in here as well. So go ahead, start sharing this with people so people can know what's really happening today. All right, what are we talking about? This one thing: we have not been told the truth about how to borrow money. We spend an inordinate amount of time talking about credit, how to fix our credit, how to build it up. We talk about how we can make sure that our credit profile can make sure that we can borrow any amount of money that we need, either for personal things like our homes or education or cars, or even how to borrow money for investing in real estate or whatever your business happens to be. We talk about how to get the money, but we don't talk about how to pay the money back. I want to say good morning to everybody here on that's here watching or listening to us in the clubhouse this morning. I see a party hat in here. I see you, Danielle. I see you, Michael, this morning. Who else do we have? I got Eric. I got David. I got Jerry. Good morning to you all. Start inviting some people in, and let's show you what we're talking about this morning. How we have never really understood how lending works. So we're going to break it all down, starting from understanding the P.I.L.L method: prepayment of principal, isolating the principal amount, leverage, and liquidity. We always start with prepayment of principal. We have no idea that the thing that we need to do is make sure we're borrowing money right. And that does not mean try to get the lowest interest rate possible. Getting the lowest interest rate possible does not guarantee that you'll have the lowest overall interest cost. Now, if you have a 30-year loan or a 25-year loan or whatever loan that you have on your residential property or your commercial property, if you want to make every single payment, I mean for 25 years or for 30 years, then get the lowest interest rate possible, because you're going to be making every single payment. And the numbers that they tell you in the lending office, all of those numbers are going to be true. But if you want to pay your loan off cheaper, if you want to pay the least amount of interest possible, then you have to know this: you can't optimize what you can't measure. And I'm not talking about the interest rate when you sign the loan documents. I'm talking about knowing how much interest you're consuming per month. How much interest are the banks charging you on your mortgage, on your credit cards, on your car loans? How much interest are they charging you per month? And if you don't know how much interest they're charging you per month, how can you optimize and make sure you are spending less interest? I see you, LaMarcus Smith. Man, listen, I have to come by the barbershop and see you. All right, come on, man. All right, listen, you can call, you know, you got my number, right? You can call me anytime. All right. So I want you all to get ready to see something here. I'm going to be putting some things on the screen to profile what I've been talking about. We're profiling today. Let me see here. There it is. All right, screen 3. We'll put that on there, and then we're going to add that to the stage. There we go. All right, let me change my banner here. There we go. Boom. There it is. Okay. Now, you are in our show. Our show is P.I.L.L Method Live this morning, and P.I.L.L stands for prepayment of principal, isolating the principal amount, leverage, and liquidity. And what you're seeing here is an example of how to borrow money at 75% off, getting money at a discount. You don't have to pay the bank all the money that they're looking for. And I don't care how big the loans are. They could be small, they could be huge. It doesn't matter. Okay? You know how to get the money. You know how to go to the bank and receive that deposit in your account. You know how to buy the house. You know how to purchase the education. You know how to borrow money for the car. Now, let's do this. Let's pay the bank pennies on the dollar for the use of the money. How would you like that this morning? I need somebody to tell me this is information they want to hear. All right. They want to see. Put something in the chat this morning and says, put a number 9 if you want to see and understand how you can borrow money at pennies on the dollar so that you can pay a lot less interest. It's the interest that makes all the difference. It's the interest that makes all the difference. Okay. So now I'm showing you here somebody has $21,000 in loans, almost $22,000 in loans. Okay. And the mortgage debt is only $75,918.52. With that, the bank wants to pay $40,000 in interest on the $98,000 that they owe. How in the what? $40,000 interest on the $98,000 that they owe. And because of that, if they make every single payment on time, it'll take them 27.9 years to pay all of this off. Ladies and gentlemen, why would they want to be in debt for 27.9 years? They don't, but they get so used to making those payments. I'm so happy I got the loan. I got the keys to the house. Listen, they're making good money and they're paying their bills on time. But we lose track of how much interest we're actually paying. If they understood how lending actually works, I need you to see this right now. Okay? Zoom in here. Look at this. If they understood how lending actually worked, they should only be paying $16,892 in interest on these loans. Only $16,000. That's a $23,000 savings off the bat. Okay, so now we're talking about, so Don, do I need extra money to make this happen? The answer is no. We're using the same budget, the very same budget that they used to qualify for these loans. We're using the same budget to pay the money back. So you don't need more money to get out of debt. You just need to tell the bank, I'm going to pay you less interest than you were looking for. You see, this $40,000 that the bank is looking for is just a suggestion. Because of how the amortization schedule is configured, if you do things the bank's way, you will pay them every single dime of this interest and probably more. But when we make a slight change in how we pay them back using our same budget, how can we give the bank back their money and make it impossible for them to charge you the interest? That's what you need to know. So if we could pay them $16,892 in interest, guess what our effective interest rate would have to be? Meaning, you would need an interest rate of 1.08% to pay this little tiny bit of interest on these loans. You would need that interest rate from the bank. So I don't care what interest rate is. What you need to care about is, how do I control interest cost? How do I control interest cost? So if you want to see what I'm putting up here, go to YouTube and search for P.I.L.L method. Let me go ahead and I'm going to put, let me see here, put a new window up. I'm going to, let me see here. I'm going to get you the link for our YouTube channel. All right, folks, what I want you to do is, okay, I'm going to share that. There we go. Let me see if I can paste that in here. All right. There it is. All right, there you are. It's in the chat. I'm also going to pin it to the top. I'm also going to pin it to the top here, so it'll be easier to find. Tell your friends about it. There it is. I'm going to add the link to the top there. There it is. So if you want to see this, go over to YouTube. All right. And not only that, folks, do me a favor. When you get to YouTube, can you subscribe to our channel? Click the notification bell, and anytime that we're live 3 times a week. Okay. We're live Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday. All right. So that you can get this kind of information that no one on the internet is sharing with you. We're sharing the secrets of how the bank makes all of their money with you so that you don't have to pay it. I need you to start inviting some people in here right now so that they can all see this. Now, here's this client here. I need you to see this. Instead of $40,000 in interest, they're going to pay $16,000 in interest instead. Okay? Instead of 27 years to pay off, they could be out of debt in 8.3 years. What? Their mortgage, their loans, car loans, all of their debt, they could be out of debt in 8.3 years because of all the interest they will not pay. You can pay the bank back their money without giving them all of that interest. All right, let's see another example here. Oh, this one is 390,000 for the mortgage. We have loans of $7,700, and we have over $18,000 in credit card debt. Do you realize people come to me all the time and think that the credit card debt is the worst kind of debt? It's not. Credit card debt is one of the easiest debts to get rid of if you know how it's configured. How does the bank use their formulas to create the interest that we have to pay? Once you know how that's done, I guarantee you can borrow money even from your credit cards at a discount without ever changing the interest rate. I don't care about interest rate. I only care about interest cost. How much does it cost? How much are you charging me? And what can I do to make sure you charge me less? There's plenty you can do. Now, look at this, 390,000. This is a total of $416,000 in debt. $416,000 in debt. How much interest does the bank want on that? $163,653. It's right here. If you do it the bank's way, you're going to borrow $416,000, but by the time you're through paying them, you're going to pay back $580,000. Over $500,000. I think, if you ask me, I think you could do something else with that money. So here is the amount of interest that they want, $163,000. If you want to see this, go to YouTube and subscribe to our channel. Watch this, $163,000 that they want. This client working with us, working with the P.I.L.L method, they're only going to pay back $41,000 in interest. Don, how is that possible? How is it possible to borrow money and sign a contract that says, if I keep their money for the entire time, I'm going to pay them $163,000 in interest, and we can turn things around and only pay back $41,000 in interest. And I want you to see this. I want you to see this close up. What would the interest rate have to be to pay only $41,000 in interest instead of $163,000 in interest? 0.64%. How do you like that? Okay, 0.64%. How would you like to borrow money at 0.64%? Listen, I don't care what anybody says. Cash is not king in this society. Borrowing money at a discount, that's the way to go. Leveraging other people's money and paying the bank as little interest as mathematically possible is, listen, it's available to everyone. Everyone who wants to can pay a lot less interest. That is, look at this, $122,000 in interest savings. That is 75% off. That's that would be the same as going to the bank, getting your loan at the bank, signing all the paperwork, and then presenting a coupon for 75% off, because that's the amount of interest that you are going to pay. And it's not a doggone thing they can do about it. Why? Because the rules are in the paperwork. What? Yeah, the rules are in the paperwork. Most people don't know that it's in the paperwork that you can pay that little bit of interest. So let's take a look at your right. Your right. Okay, it's your right. I'm going to pull up something here. Right to prepay loans. So I'm going to pull something up. Okay, the prepayment privilege. Okay, and borrower's right to prepay. Let me see this. All right, that's a little lengthy. All right, let's take a look at some of this. I'm going to pull this over so you guys can see. Okay, the term prepayment privilege. Okay, you all have the right to pay these loans off early, but most people don't know how to do it without getting extra money. I'm going to show you how to pay these loans off with the budget that you have so that you don't need extra money. Okay, so the term prepayment privilege refers to the right a consumer has to pay part or all of the debt before its maturity ahead of schedule, usually without the risk of incurring any penalties. Prepayment privileges are often associated with mortgages and automobile loans. Well, and credit cards too, and personal loans and student loans. Did you know a person who has student loans and they use the P.I.L.L method can pay off their student loans in about 5 years? I don't care how big they are. Okay. If you can afford the payments here, if you can afford your payments, I can show you how to pay so little interest. You can get rid of your loans in about 5 years. You can pay off a mortgage in 7 to 8 years. You can, and if you have a church, if your church has debt, if your church has a mortgage, you can pay that mortgage off in about 5 years without extra giving from the members. Yes, you can. All of the interest that we are paying is due to one thing: a lack of education. Everybody who's under the sound of my voice right now, you've never been told how amortization actually works, how that formula that the bank uses actually works, and how you can defeat it and make it work for you. And every one of you has this statement in your loans, but you just don't know what it means. Here's the thing: a little bit of money placed in the loan the right way can save you a ton of interest. You see, the same math that charges you a bunch of interest is the same math you can use to save you a bunch of interest. And that's what we've been doing with our clients for the last 19 years. You can Google the P.I.L.L method right now, P.I.L.L method. Okay. You can Google the P.I.L.L method. We've been in business for 19 years. You can go to our Better Business Bureau page and see that we've been in business for 19 years. We have an A+ credit, an A+ rating with BBB, and no complaints. How about that? Watch this, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to show you something else. Have you heard of velocity banking? This is somebody who came to us, and what we call this example is velocity banking gone wrong. Says, Don, can we use velocity banking to get out of debt? Let me show you something. This person has a mortgage of $188,000, and watching a video on YouTube, they decided to get credit cards and somehow use the money from the credit cards to pay back the mortgage and save interest, and therefore get out of debt faster. Let me show you what happens when you don't have a system that tells you how much to borrow, when to borrow, and when to pay. Just giving you a blanket statement saying, if you take this money and put it over here, you're going to save interest, and not tell you how much. How much do I borrow? When do I pay it? What month do I pay it in? What day of the month do I pay it on? And which loan do I attack? They're not giving you any of the details. So here's what happened to this person. After getting one credit card, it didn't work. So they got another, and then another, and then another. They have now 10 credit cards, and they owe a total of $73,000 on 10 credit cards. $73,000 on 10 credit cards. If you want to see this, go to YouTube right now. Okay. And watch this. Okay. $188,000 here. That's the mortgage. $73,000 in credit cards. So they came to us, say, Don, we need help. Here is what the bank wants them to do. They owe, okay, they owe a total, all right, a total of 349. I'm sorry. They owe a total of $262,000 right now. A total of $262,000. Their average interest on the credit cards, this is the average, 23% average on the credit cards. By the time they will pay this off, the bank wants to charge them $349,900, almost $350,000 just in interest alone. That is ridiculous. Okay, 300. That's more interest than they borrowed in principal. They owe $262,000. The bank wants them to pay $349,000. If you have any questions about any of this, listen, stop me at any time. If you want to talk about your own situation, stop me. Just come up to the stage, raise your hand. Okay. I see you, Jonathan Bing. I say, listen, I've been watching my other screen. I didn't see you in here. Good morning, Jonathan. How are you? Okay. I guess he's busy. All right. That's quite all right. Jonathan's going to take over after I'm done this morning. Okay. Jonathan's going to take over in about a couple of hours. So if you want to know more about this, come ask your questions. If you're watching me on YouTube or Facebook, type in your questions. If you want to come in to our studio on YouTube, you can do that today. All right. You can come in and watch us on YouTube. Let me see here. Let me see how I can. There we go. All right. There it is. That is our StreamYard link. You can click on that link and come into our studio live and ask questions. All right. You can interact with us. All right. Just follow the instructions. Oh, by the way, this works better on Chrome. And so when you're coming into our studio, make sure when you're on your computer, use Chrome to use that link. Okay. There you go. So what's going on here? So we have the bank says, if you make all of your payments on time, we promise to give you a great credit score. Okay. We promise to give you a great credit score if you make all of your payments on time, which means it will take them 29.8 years to pay this debt off the bank's way, because the bank wants them to pay $349,000 in interest. It's the interest that keeps them in debt forever, not the amount of money borrowed. Okay. So if we can, using the P.I.L.L method, what if we can get that down to $97,000 in interest instead? The interest, their effective interest rate would have to be 2.23%, 2.23% to pay $97,000 in interest instead of the $349,000. That's a 72% reduction in interest cost. That's saving $252,000 in interest. Can I show you some of the techniques? This is not the whole program. I just need to show you that this actually works. that interest can be saved with your current budget. If you want to know the basics of how to save this interest, put a number 9 in the chat right now. And I'll put some information on the screen that's going to show you how this gets done. Put a number 9 in the chat right now. Danielle says, I want to know. Danielle says, I want to know. Okay. All right. Is there anybody else who wants to know besides Danielle? Okay. Anybody else? Danielle, it's just going to be me and you talking about this? Nobody else is interested? Okay. That's all right. Oh, listen, M. Bolin is watching us on YouTube. Lamarcus Smith puts a number 9 in. He wants to know. Maya Robinson watching us on Facebook wants to know. All right. Eric Smith watching us on YouTube wants to know. All right. So let's listen. Look at this. Look at this. Okay. Put this on here. M. Bolin, number 9. Lamarcus Smith, number 9. Maya, number 9. Eric Smith, number 9. Okay, let me put this on. Let me put this on. Brandon Johnson, number 9. Eric Smith, number 9. Okay, so let's go ahead and put this on the screen. Okay, I'm going to put an amortization schedule on the screen. Now, this is not magic, what I'm getting ready to show you. It's just math. I'm using an amortization calculator I can get off the internet. This is from Brett Whistle. This is not my program. You can do this for yourself. Most people ask me when they come to me and says, Don, do I need to go to my bank to get an amortization schedule? No, you can make one for yourself. All right. But our program will make sure, I'm showing you this, but our program will make sure that you pay the least amount of money that's mathematically possible. I'm not giving you today, I'm not going to give you exact information that's going to save you the most interest possible for you. It takes a computer to do that. I'm just showing you some of the basics. Are you ready? All right. And then we're going to get into how real estate investors are losing millions of dollars, even though they're cash flowing significant income every single month. They're making money on their properties, but they're missing out on millions of other dollars they don't even know about. I'm going to reveal that secret today. All right. So let me show you here. So let me put this on here. All right. The median home price today is $400,000. Average interest rate is 7%. Okay. Right now, interest rates are getting ready to drop. Let me tell you something, folks, a couple of things. And if you want to know more about what we're doing, you want to go to ice10k.com and get a savings report so that you can know this in detail. But right now, people are sitting on the sidelines waiting for the interest rates to drop before they do anything. Let me tell you, if you can afford the payment at the higher interest rate, if you can afford this payment on your new home at 7%, you're better off at 7% than after the interest rates drop. I'm going to share something with you that is completely true. The lower the interest rate, the harder it is to pay the loan off cheaper and faster. I'm just telling you. I'm going to show you the truth of the matter today. Okay, let's take a look at this 7% loan. All right, $400,000 at 7%. The payment is $2,661.21. That is the payment, principal and interest payment. That does not include taxes and insurance. Okay, doesn't include taxes and insurance. If you want to see this, go to YouTube. I've got the link in the chat. I've got the link at the top of the page. Go to YouTube and subscribe to our YouTube channel, please. All right. Click on that notification bell so that anytime we're live, you can see this. All right. Anytime we're live, you can see this. $400,000. I want you to see this. First of all, okay, Interest rate is a liar. Okay. Interest rate is a liar. The interest rate you're quoted is not the interest rate you end up paying. The interest rate you're quoted is not the interest rate you end up paying. I need you to see this. Okay. When you close on your loan, 3 days before you close, you're going to get some paperwork. All right. And in that paperwork, part of that paperwork says, here's your loan, here's your interest rate. Okay. And here's how much interest you owe. I'm telling you, when you read it that way, it's a mistake. Here's what you need to read. Here's the amount of interest we're asking for. We're suggesting you pay us, but you don't have to pay that. Look at this. On a $400,000 loan, the bank wants $558,000 in interest. And I just got to ask this question. All right. And you can put a yes or a no or a Y or an N for your answer. All right. In the chat. If they have to pay back $558,000 on a $400,000 loan, is $558,000 7% of $400,000? I'm just put a yes or a no or a Y or an N, okay, in the chat right now. Is $558,000 7% of $400,000? Okay, put a yes or a no. All right, Danielle says no. All right, Tucker says no. All right, M. Bolin says no. All right, we're putting that on the screen right now. Tucker says no. Eric Smith says no. All right, everybody is saying no. Derek Charles says interest is front loaded. You better believe it. Okay, now let me tell you something. Because interest is front loaded, this is why we're not educated on how all of this works. Do you know that investors who buy mortgages, they are counting on the fact that you don't understand this, because this front loaded interest, even though the investors love it, okay, that they can make so much money up front on your mortgage, you know, the number one thing they're afraid of? The number one thing they're afraid of is not the fact that you'll default on this loan. The number one thing that they're afraid of is that if you prepay the loan, pay it off early. I'm going to show you why. Because look at this. $558,000 means total interest paid as a percentage of principal, 139.5%. Do you want to pay 139% for your mortgage? No, you do not. Okay? No, you do not. So by the time we're done with this loan, doing it the bank's way, you're going to pay back a total of $958,000 for your home in a $400,000 neighborhood. Do you want to pay that? Let's see what you can do about it. And let me show you the weakness in this system. Here's why it's not taught in high school. Here's why it's not taught in your economics class. Here's why an amortization schedule is not taught on you. Listen, you can be taught how to create an amortization schedule, but you're not taught by what it means to you to understand it and how you can manipulate it. Because the amount of interest that they're charging you, I want you to listen to this and write it down. The amount of interest that they're charging you is interest you can also save. Watch what I'm showing you here. We're going to scroll down. I'm going to get rid of some of these advertisings because it is distracting to me. Okay. So I need you to see this. Out of the very first payment of $2,661.21, that's what you're making the payment of every single month. Look at this. Only $327.88 goes to principal. Look how much goes to interest. $2,333.33. Here's why People who invest in mortgages love to buy up your mortgage because you have to make the payment, all right? And only a portion of the payment actually satisfies paying back the loan. What portion is that? Let me show you. I'm going to put a calculator on the screen. All right. The first interest payment is $2,333.33. That's the first interest payment. Total payment, your total mortgage payment is $2,661.21. So here's how you do the math on that. You divide the first interest payment, okay? So you take the first interest payment and divide it by the total payment, which is 2,000, okay? 2,661.21. Look at that. And you get 0.876. Because the third number is a 6, you round this number up to round 7 up to 8, which means, folks, 88% of this payment is interest alone. 88% of your payment is interest, and only 12% of your payment is principal, goes to pay the loan down. Can I put it another way? Every single dollar of the $2,600, every single dollar, 88 cents out of every dollar gets discounted, okay? And it does not work for you. 88 cents out of every dollar goes to interest or the investor. And only 12 cents out of the dollar goes to you to pay down the loan. Out of every dollar, you're paying back your beautiful $400,000 home with 12 cents out of every dollar. Do you want to continue to do that? Then why, if you're discounting your payment like that, then why are investors afraid of you understanding how this works? Why are they so afraid? Let me share with you why they're afraid. If you make this first payment, let's say in January, because of how all of this works, and I'll prove it to you with the math. If you make this payment in January, your next mortgage payment is February. That would be line 2 on your schedule. So you made your payment in January. Your principal payment for February is $329.79. Here's the question. Do you have to wait till February to give the bank an additional $329.79? Because see, we read earlier that you can prepay this. A prepayment means you give the bank money over and above your regular payment before the next payment is due. Anytime before the next payment is due. So if we give the bank their money in January and I see, $329.79, I'm going to give that to them in February, I can give that to them anytime in January. So if you do, guess what? All of that money goes to principal. No interest comes out of that money. So they subtracted the $327.88 from what you owe. That means you now owe, instead of $400,000, $399,672. If you give them the $329 on top of that, they have to subtract that too. So now you're down to line 2 on your amortization schedule, $399,342. All right. So that means that your next mortgage payment for February is line 3, and I can prove it. Okay, let's bring that calculator back. Let me show you what I mean. So our interest rate is 0.07. That's our interest rate, 0.07. What the bank does with their formula is take the 0.07 and divide it by 12. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing. Let's divide this by 12. That's the number we get, 0.0058 and a bunch of threes after that. That's the number they use to multiply by your balance to figure out how much interest you'll pay out of your 2661 every single month. Okay, this is how they do it. So they take this number, and since you're paid down to line 2 right here, where you owe 399, 342, because you gave them the 329 early, let's multiply this by this number now. They don't listen, the bank's computers didn't get to see the 399, 672 at the end of the month because you gave them money early. The computer only got to see the 399, 342. So let's multiply it by that times $399,342.33 equals 2,329.496, which means, now what does that mean? We have to round this up to 50 cents, right? 2,329.50, okay? Right here, 2,329.50. So if we prepay this, we automatically drop down to line 3 on our schedule. What just happened? M. Tucker, okay, I have a question here. It says, does this work for all loans? All loans are on an amortization schedule. You just have to learn how to read an amortization schedule to beat the loan. The answer is yes. All loans work like this. Okay, but they all have different rules. Okay, the rules are different on a car loan. The rules are different on a credit card. The rules are different on a mortgage, but the basic amortization schedule is the same on all of them. They just have different rules. Now, okay, she says thanks. Okay, let's put that on the screen. All right, there you go. All right, so if you want to know more about how all of this works, okay, here's what you want to do. Ladies and gentlemen, what I'm getting ready to show you is absolutely free. Absolutely free. Okay, so you want to go to ICE, okay, ICE, the number 10, the letter K.com. Go to ICE10K.com, ICE10K.com. And when you get there, look at the bottom here. Okay. All right. Scroll down underneath. Okay. You're going to keep scrolling. You see Eric Thomas, E.T., the hip hop preacher. All right. Scroll down and click on where it says get a savings and earnings report. Okay. When you go there, get your free savings and earnings report. Put your financial data in there, and you can know the month, day, and year you could be debt free and how much interest you could save. What do we provide that no other system can provide? We make sure we tell you the right amount of money to move, the right month to do it in, the right day of the month to pay it on, so that we can figure how to save the most interest per dollar. That's where we're going. Not just saving money. Do you want to save some money, or do you want to save the most amount of money that every dollar you have can? You want your dollar working as hard as it possibly can. Okay. So if your dollar can save you $6 in interest for every dollar, do you want your dollar saving you $4 in interest for every dollar? No, you do not. You want your dollar to save you the most in interest. And the only way that can happen is if you pay exactly the right amount, exactly at the right time, exactly on the right loan. That's how you get out of debt faster, because when you save the maximum amount of interest, when you pay your loans off cheaper, then you're out of debt faster using the same amount of money. Okay, so now we're down to line 3. What just happened? Because I gave the bank $329 early. Do you see what happened here, folks? I literally got rid of line 2 for only $329, not the $2,600 they were looking for. Line 2 is completely gone. I'm now on line 3. What happened to the $2,300 the investor was looking for? This is why they're so afraid, ladies and gentlemen. Because you gave them the $329 early, the investor has been, you have you have ripped out of their budget $2,331.42 of your money they will never receive. How good is that? Put some fire emojis in the chat if you like that today. You just said, investor, I'm going to pay you when I want to pay. And because I pay on my time schedule, I just saved myself $2,331.42. Can I show you something else that's even more powerful? Okay, Derek Charles says circumvent that interest. All right, Danielle, listen. Don't put the fire out, Danielle. Don't put the fire out. Oh my goodness. Don't put the fire out with the fire truck. All right, listen, Maya, look at Maya putting fire emojis in there. Okay, and I see hearts online. All right. She said, ring the alarm. She says, ring the. Listen, can I show you something even more powerful than that? Are you ready? Are you ready for something more powerful than this? Here we go. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Here it is. Some of you have some money in the bank. Okay. People love to look at their money in the bank. I mean, absolutely love it because somebody told them cash is king. You know, I see people all the time with $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, up to $100,000 sitting in a bank account at the bank, making 0.1%. Let me ask you something. Now that you know this, what if we did this? Make our regular payment here on line 1, okay? And then give the bank the next principal payment of $329, and on top of that, $331, and on top of that, $333. The next 3 principal payments. You see, when people talk about, all you need to do is double up on your payments, they're talking about pay the whole $2,600. No, you don't attack the loan with the entire payment because most of your payment is interest. You didn't borrow this interest. So why are you using it in your calculations to attack the loan? You borrowed the principal part. This part is mortgage under the principal banner. This is mortgage. Okay. This over here is interest. I call it rent on your money. This is rent. Do you see that? So what we're taught is to go from renting an apartment or a house to renting money forever. I'm sorry. Listen, folks, rent is rent. Do you want to continue to rent after you've moved out of the apartment complex? Okay. I moved out of the apartment complex. I got a house, but I'm going to be paying rent for the rest of my life. I don't want to do that. Okay. So I'm going to show you what would happen if we make our regular mortgage payment and take some money out of that bank account. A little over $1,000. Okay. 3 principal payments, a little over $1,000. Look what happens. Okay. Look what happens. You don't have to pay this interest payment, this interest payment, this interest payment. Over $7,000. You took a little over $1,000 out of your bank account that's sitting there making 0.1%. Put it on this mortgage and saved yourself over $7,000 in interest. This is why people who invest in mortgages are so afraid of you finding this out. They don't want you to know. They don't want you to know. Listen, does this make sense to you? I wish I had somebody to come up on stage. Raise your hand, come up on stage and let's talk. I can get more done if you want to talk this morning. I can get more done this way. Okay. Talk to me. Ask your questions. If you're online, use that link. Come online. I'll bring you right into the studio audience. We can talk. All right. So we just learned by prepaying a little over $1,000. That means the investor will not get $7,000 in interest that they were looking for. Why? Why is that? Because you paid them on your schedule. You gave them the money that you borrowed on your schedule and not theirs. And when you do that, you make it impossible for them to charge you that interest. How you like that? Oh my goodness. Listen, let me go over here. Let me play around with this a little bit. Okay. I want you to let me see here. There we go. You can save a ton of money. Now that you've learned this, can I show you something else? Okay. Now, this is um, for basically homeowners, home buyers, people who are regular consumers, people who are residential home buyers. You can save a ton of interest. In fact, you can cut your interest on this by following our program. You can cut it by 2/3 and pay this mortgage off with your current budget in about 7 or 8 years. Yeah. But what if you're a real estate investor? What if you're a real estate investor? I need you to focus in on this. Okay. I need you to focus in on this. Let me bring this back up on. Let me bring this back up on the screen. Here is a commercial real estate investor with $2,236,000 in commercial property. Okay. It is office space. Okay. And, no building has 100% occupancy. But out of these two buildings, okay, this real estate investor averages about $57,800 in income monthly. If you want to see this, how it works on large numbers, I'm telling you, if you thought that was fantastic, wait till you see how it works on large numbers. Watch this. And I'll show you one of the loans here as well. Okay. So $57,000 coming in. The monthly debt payments on these two loans add up to $14,696. What? The average income on these buildings is $57,800, but just the loans themselves, $14,696. That's some serious cash flow. Here is the pushback I get from real estate investors. Don, why should I even worry about this? Look how much money I'm making here. Why should I worry about the loan when I have my tenants paying the mortgage? Number one, your tenants aren't paying the mortgage. That's number one. You're paying the mortgage. Your tenants did not sign a contract to pay a mortgage. You did. Your tenants gave you rent money. And then you took the money they gave you and paid the mortgage. But here is what you're not looking at. You're not looking at how much interest you're paying out of that money. And that can be crucial. Do you want to increase profits out of found money you didn't know that you could have? What if you could increase profits out of found money without impeding your ability to invest? That's the pushback I get from investors and saying, Don, why would I do that? I want to take my money and invest it in more doors. Why should I worry about paying off a mortgage? It's not paying off a mortgage that we're talking about. It's reducing the amount of interest that you're paying so that you can collect your rents each month. Look at what I'm talking about. This is what the investor told me about these loans. Out of all the money coming in, 36,000 on average, 63% of what I bring in goes right back into investing. Look at that. So this investor told me that I need this money to invest. You can't touch that. I said, no problem. They said, what? I thought you were going to tell me not to invest and take the money and save interest. Nope, not at all. Take your money and invest it the way you choose to invest. Continue to do that. Continue to grow your portfolio, get more doors. Now, he told me that about 11% of what he brings in, this will be about $6,500 every month, goes into a reserve fund. That is for repairs and maintenance. Now, this is just one way to get it done, folks. And I'm not giving you exact instructions on what we're telling this client to do, because our opportunity cost calculator does all of that. I'm just giving you some numbers to prove what we're saying works. Okay, let me show you. Out of that money, the bank wants them to pay $1,123,000 in interest. Using our system, we can cut that down to $231,000 in interest, saving this investor $891,000 in interest. That's a 79% reduction in interest cost for this investor. Which means, what interest rate would this investor have to pay $231,000 instead of $1,123,000? The effective interest rate would have to be 0.67%. If you can borrow money at 0.67%, why should anyone pay cash? All right. Oh, I see a hand. Sorry about that. I've been speaking so much. Let me invite you up, Big Lou. Okay. Come on up. All right. I've been talking so much. I'm looking at all the screens. I'm not looking at who wants to come to the stage. What's going on, Big? Am I pronouncing it right?
Yeah, that's correct.
How are you doing, sir?
Not bad, yourself?
I'm doing well this morning. Do you have a question or a comment?
I do. So I kind of want to break something down.
Sure.
And hopefully you can help me walk through something. So I had purchased a 4-family home about 2 years ago now.
Okay.
And my current monthly payment is $39.04.
Okay.
And when I break that down, that's principal, interest, escrow.
Mm-hmm.
So, and my interest, I got it at the time was at 5.75.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And for like a total of I think it was like 432.
Mm-hmm.
And sort of, I'm listening to you and I'm following along, but I'm kind of curious to know in terms of when should you kind of delineate and make certain payments, or how do you set up that wheel structure so you're able to achieve what you're essentially saying?
Okay. So let's go over, can we put your information on the screen here?
Yeah.
Okay. So hold on for just a second. I am pulling some other stuff on a different screen. All right, hold on for just a second. My wife is trying to text me. You got to stop. You can't not text your wife back. Okay. There you go. All right. So, I'm pulling some information up here so that we can answer your question correctly. All right. So, let's go ahead and do you have the let me see here. Brett Whistle, there we go. All right. Do you have the amount of principal and interest that you pay right in front of you? And if you're talking, Blue, you're muted.
Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted.
Yeah.
Per month?
Yeah, per month. Do you have the amount of interest that you?
Yeah. So principal 517.91.
Hold on for a second. Let's going to put it on the screen for everybody to see. If you're new to the room, go to YouTube. We got the link at the top of the page. Go to YouTube and you can see this. All right. So how much is that again?
517.91.
517.91. Okay. All right. And then what's next?
The interest, 2,330.
Okay. Okay. $2,003.30.
That is correct.
2003. Uh-oh, wait a second. Let me back it up. All right. $2,003.30.
That is correct.
Okay. All right. And that equals 25, 21, 21. That's your principal and interest payment.
Yeah.
Your interest rate, okay, let me put that in here. 25, 21, 21. 25, 21.21. Now, folks, what I'm showing you here, if you use Brett Whistle, this is the amortization calculator on Brett Whistle. I'm putting in his principal and interest payment. Okay. And is it a 30-year loan? You're muted again.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Okay. And the interest rate?
5.75.
5.75. There we go. Now I'm going to take the principal amount out because I don't know that. But if I calculate this, this tells me how much his loan started at within 3 pennies. Look at this. It was $432,030. Okay, that's where it started. Okay, at 5.75. You're breaking your payments down to $451. Okay, and $2,000. Okay, is interest. You've already been watching. Does it make sense that if I prepay some of this money, I can save a lot of interest with a small prepayment? Okay. Do you agree to that?
Yeah.
Okay. So what you're asking is there a certain amount to pay at a certain time so that it will work for you better?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a calculator handy?
I do.
Okay. So here's what I want you to do. You can prepay any amount, but we want the right amount for you. Now, I don't know what that is because there's a lot about your finances I don't know. I can give you an example of paying, you don't want to pay too little. You also don't want to pay too much. Did you realize you can actually pay too much on your mortgage and it actually end up hurting you?
Mm.
Yeah. That's why it's
Yeah.
important to pay the right amount at the right time. So I'm going to give you an example of that right now. So out of all the monies that you could pay, okay, out of all the monies that you could pay, I'm only going to show you line 12 and line 24. Okay, line 12 and line 24. Here's the cumulative principal for line 12. It's 5,557.75. That's all the $400 principal payments added up for 1 year. Okay. So out of the monies that you're receiving, 5,500 goes to principal, and look how much goes to interest when we add it all up. Big Lou, can you see that? Are you watching my screen? If not, if you can see, I'll just tell everybody. 24,696 in interest in the first year. Okay. So if I know that I have $5,575.75 in principal, okay, do I have to pay this $5,500 in 12 monthly installments? Okay. Do I have to pay it like that, Lou?
No.
If I had it, could I pay it all at once?
Yes.
If I did, would I be paid down to line 12 in 1 month?
Yes.
If I did that, what would happen to all the interest payments between line 2 and line 12?
It will essentially reduce itself to only just the principal.
Exactly. So what we're looking at is paying our loan down to right here, line 12, and save essentially $24,000 I don't have to pay the bank.
Mm.
So how would you like to be able to do that? All right. So now here's the answer to your question. Okay. How much should I pay and when? I don't know that answer to your question, but I can show you the difference between two payments. Look at this. Now, if I can knock off a year with $5,500, I can knock a year off this loan because if I prepay this, my next mortgage payment is actually on line 13 of this schedule. I just knocked off a whole year worth of interest and a whole month, a whole year off of this loan with one payment of money that I was going to give them anyway over 1 year. Look at that. Now I'm going to show you line 24. 11,000 for 443.65. And if I make every single payment for 2 years on this loan, how much interest I just paid? So let me ask you, Lou, you're going to have $11,000 in equity. But is it a deal if you have to pay $49,000 in interest to get it?
No.
No, it's not, is it? Even though you're cash flowing on this property like crazy, probably. Okay. But this is the part we don't look at, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you have plenty of money in the bank, Lou. I got plenty of money in the bank. I can prepay practically any amount that I want, but I'm only going to give you two choices, line 12 and line 24. You can prepay the $5,500 or you can prepay the $11,443. Okay. Which one would you choose if you only had the two choices, line 12 or line 24?
Line 12, I suspect.
Okay. Why would you do that?
Because it's the lower of the two.
And I said, if you have plenty of money.
Oh, plenty of money.
You got plenty of money in the
24.
bank. You got plenty of money in the bank. Money is no object. Okay.
Line 24.
You do line 24. And why would you do line 24?
Because it ends up saving me not having to pay $49,065 in just interest.
Okay. So if I know how much money I'm paying and I know how much money I'm saving, could I do a little bit of math and figure out if I prepay this and save that? Can I do a little division and find out how much interest I'm saving per dollar? Do you think that matters?
Yes.
Okay. Because if you were buying gas, okay, if you were buying gas, you needed gas, and there's two gas stations on a corner, all right, and you like both gas stations, which one are you going to go to?
The more economical one.
Okay, by how much? How much cheaper does it need to be for you to choose?
I would say probably at least by 25%.
Okay. I mean, if you're getting gas, you know the real answer. If it's cheaper by a penny, are you going to go to the gas station that's cheaper by the penny? Even if you like both, if you like both gas stations, okay. Even if it's a penny. Now watch this. I want to pay the least amount per dollar for my gas. Okay. I want my dollar to go as far as it possibly can. Okay. So if I'm going to save the $24,000, I can put that in my calculator. So you want to put in your calculator 24,696.77. Can you see these numbers or do I need to call them out to you?
No, 24,696.71.
No, it's 77.
77.
You got it?
Got it.
Okay. And now you're going to divide it by what you could prepay. Okay. So I'm going to do this for everybody else on the screen too. So we're going to divide it by the 5,557.75. So I'm going to put in my calculator on the screen, 24,696.77. We're going to divide it by 5,557.75. Okay. Did I think divided by that. And then I get
4.443.
Right. So that's $4.44 in interest you save for every dollar. Is that valuable to know? For
Yeah.
every dollar, even if you just put $1 on, you make it impossible for the bank to charge you $4.44 for that $1 because you paid it when you wanted to. But when you take that and you multiply it by $5,000, that's a huge savings. $4.44 per dollar. Okay. Now let's take a look, and I'm going to write that down. $4.44 per dollar. Now let's take a look at line 24, where we're going to put into our calculator. Okay. We're going to put into our calculator 49,000. Our interest saved 49,065.39. And we're going to divide it by the 11,444. Okay. 443. So we're divided by 11,443.65 equals $4 and what? 28 cents. So let me ask you, Big Lou, if you're putting money on this loan and you can save $4.44 for every dollar, should you ever accept $4.28 per dollar?
No.
No, but we're not taught that, are we?
No.
We're not taught to look at it that way. We're just taught how to pay stuff off. We're not looking at how to save the maximum amount of interest per dollar so we can be set up for the next move. Why is it important to know when are we putting too much towards debt reduction? Let me tell you a little story. Do you have another question before I get into this next one?
No.
Okay. So I'm going to tell you a little story and then I'll show you how we do it. Let's say I got a client who's using our online opportunity cost calculator. All right. That does all of the math, tells them how much to pay and when. Okay. He's an engineer here in Huntsville, Alabama. And he's making more money now than he did years ago. All right. So now he's going to be paying off the last $263,000 of his mortgage because of all the extra money he's making now, because he's plugging it into the program. He's going to be paying that mortgage off in 3.5 years. And he's only going to pay another $16,000 in interest on that $263,000. He was surprised when I told him, you're paying the loan off too fast and you're not paying enough interest. He said, I thought that was the idea. I said, no, the idea is to save the maximum amount of interest per dollar. All right. That makes sense. So here's what we did. I told him, tell the program that you're making $2,000 a month less. Okay. And when he did, the program came back with different numbers. And the numbers that came back with, he's now going to be out of debt in 6.5 years, not 3.5 years. Okay. He's now going to pay $20,000 in interest instead of $16,000 in interest. He says, I'm paying more money and it's taking me longer. Why would I do that? I said, it sounds like it makes more sense to you to be out of debt in 3.5 years and pay less interest. He said, yes. I said, now, what would you have to do? He says, I'd have to put that $2,000 a month back in. So you want to pay that for the next 3.5 years then and be out of debt? He says, yes. I said, let's do just a little bit of math. All right. So 30, that's 3 years. That's 36 months plus a half year, 3.5 years, another 6 months. That's 42 months. 42 times the $2,000 a month he wants to put back in. That's $84,000. Is it not?
Yeah.
Okay. So he has to pay $84,000 towards his debt so he can go from $20,000 in interest down to $16,000 in interest. You tell me, is it worth paying $84,000 just to save $4,000 in interest?
No.
No. Okay. So we're taught to look at the wrong place. When you're talking about money, you're saying, how can I lower my costs and not use money that I could use someplace else to make more money? So could you find a better use for $84,000 than to save $4,000 in interest?
Yes.
Yes, you can. As a real estate investor, you say, listen, I could probably put that down on 3 properties, down payment on 3 properties, right?
Yes, definitely.
So this is what we need to understand about all of this. I'm going to put my program on the screen. There it is. All right. So we're going to reset this account. Okay. I'm going to put in, let me see here, multiple properties. Okay. So I'm resetting our program because this is just a demo. Okay. This is a demo. I'm resetting the program so that we can look at the fact that we have 10 properties in here plus a HELOC. So it's actually 11 mortgages. So we got 10. That's the 10th one. Here's the first, here's the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, nine, and then the HELOC. All right. So we got 10 mortgages and a HELOC. All right. But look at the interest rates. They're all over the place. This one's at 6.5 on 487,000. This is 4.5 at 280. This one is 5% on 200,000. So the interest rates and the amount of money, we're all over the place. You see where I'm going here? So
I do.
How much money do we put on this loan at any given time? All right. And when do we do it? So I'm going to go to the action plan. That's where we tell the program what's going on. You see these numbers? We're starting in the month of July of this year. And the green is how much rents this guy brings in, $15,000 in rents at the first of the month. He puts that in his bank account. Then he tells the program, we received 15,000. And it's as easy as this. He clicks on the 15,000 and he clicks execute. Okay. And that 15,000 that was added to his bank account, we now add it to the bank account in the program. This is our virtual bank account, which matches what he has at the bank. So if the program knows how much money you have, it can tell you what to do. Does that make sense? So we started out here at, in the history, we started out at $500. We added 15,000. Now we have $15,500 in the checking account, and we have a little over $5,000 in savings. So what do? We pay bills, okay? And we make just minimum payments on the mortgage. Look at this. Minimum payments on the mortgage. All right, on the mortgages. We pay other bills. We pay the auto insurance, buy some food. He also has a regular job. So he's getting his paychecks in, paying bills. All right. And we didn't put an extra dime on debt, but I need you to see this. You see these little arrows here? This is the program saying, out of all the money you have $597.41 available in your checking account you don't need for anything else. Let's take that money and put it in savings and store it there. Okay. So we're keeping that money in savings out of the money that's left over. We're going to scroll down from July and go into August, where we get a new $15,000 in rents. And then the program says, now out of that money, okay, now you got a lot of money in the bank. So out of that money, we're now going to take $9,675.65 and put that into savings. We're going to pay the Visa, going to pay it off to zero. We're going to pay the HELOC off to zero. And of all of your mortgages, we're going to put some money on principal, a mortgage on which mortgage? Can you see it? If you're talking, you're muted.
I see it. I see it. Yeah, I'm following along.
Okay, which mortgage is it? I need for the audience to hear.
Ninth
Okay,
mortgage.
he's going to put it on mortgage number 9 out of all the mortgages, and of all the money he has available, he's only putting $1,935.23 on mortgage number 9. Now, let me show you what happens here, and you tell me if it's worth it. The program is going to do the calculation. And by putting $1,935.23 on this mortgage, look how much interest he's saving. I'm going to blow this up so it's a little bigger.
Yeah, I see it.
$23,000 in interest saved because he's paying it an extra $1,935.23 on the mortgage. And where did he get that money? Out of his savings account. Money he wasn't using for anything else. Not even $2,000 applied to this mortgage, and it saves a total of $23,000. Does that seem like that's too much money to save for $1,900? Is that hard to believe? That's a lot of interest saved. So in other words, if he were to pay the $1,900 the way the bank wanted him to pay his loan down, he would also have to give the bank $23,000 in interest just to pay the $1,935.23. But because he gave the bank $1,935 early, he doesn't have to pay the $23,000 in interest. Let me show you what mortgage number 9 looks like. So we're going to go into accounts. We're going to scroll down to mortgage number 9 and look at it. So I'm going to pull this up, and I need you to see out of every single payment, about $213 goes to principal, while $2,600 goes to interest. Okay. So if we take that money that the bank that the program says to pay on that, I'm just going to round things off. $1,900 divided by 213. How many 213s can we put in there? Okay, divided by $213,000. That's 8.9. That's almost 9 times. So you would multiply that 9 times the $2,600. That's how much interest you could save. So the program does all of the math for you and says, on this day, on the 1st of August, on this day, you're going to take out of your bank account $1,935.23 only, because if you take any more than that, you're going to start saving less per dollar. Only take that, $1,900, put the least amount on the debt that you have available to save the most in interest. Put it on this day, on this mortgage, save this much interest, and then start the process all over again. I know that was a long answer to your question, but that's what it takes. It's a ton of math, and you don't have to do it anymore.
So based on the conversation that we had, we've already inputted all the numbers, the interest rate, the principal, all that stuff, and then it just breaks down pretty much what you're going to pay per month, right? Or if you're making an extra payment during the month, right? Like you have scheduled payments on certain dates,
right?
And then that would just be set up like auto.
No, it's not like that at all. Okay, it's not a spreadsheet. You're describing a spreadsheet. This is a dynamic program, and the amount that you need to pay, and what month you need to pay it in, and what day of the month you pay it on, is all determined by what happened in the previous month. You see, what if a hot water heater blew up in one of the houses that you had? Now you spent more money than you had planned, So if you're spending more money, do you think that the information down here gets altered because you spent more money?
Yes.
It does. So you need a program that says, how much money are you making? How much money are you spending? And based on how much money you actually have, this is what you can afford to do this month. And then it starts adding it up all over again. Okay. Telling you how much money to put in savings, in savings here. And then adding it up. And then you don't put extra money on the debt every month. Only when you added it up and you have a certain amount in the bank and you take a small portion of that and place it on the debt. So the program will tell you when and how much and the right amount and the right day and the right month and the right loan are always a moving target because of math. The program says out of everything that you can afford to do, this is the one thing that saves you the most money this month because you spent more on maintenance last month than you did the month before. So when people call us, they always call us, what is the one right thing you can do every single month? They're looking for that magic number. There is no one magic number. There is no 1 month. There is no one day of the month. There's only the optimum thing to do. And you have to do a ton of measurements to get the optimum thing to do this month.
Okay. Yeah, I was viewing and thinking this like almost like an Excel spreadsheet because I deal with a lot of Excel spreadsheets.
Yeah. So you described a spreadsheet, but this is a dynamic program this is an optimization program which optimizes everything you need to do based on how many pennies you actually have to work with. You see how a computer determines what happens. It doesn't move dollars. Computers are ones and zeros. Okay. It can only do one thing at a time. So if you have a certain amount of money that you have available, it's going to say, okay, out of the money you have available, we're going to move 1 penny on every day on every loan and figure out how much interest you save with that 1 penny. Then it's going to do 2 pennies, then 3, then 4. And then it's going to come up with the right amount of pennies until it gets to $1,935.23. It does that in just a few seconds and says, this is how much you put on this debt on this day out of all the pennies you have available. You see, computers aren't smart. They're just fast at doing all the calculations necessary to give you the right answer. And now we're talking about millions of calculations to come up with the right amount on the right loan. You're muted. Do you have any other questions for me, Big Lou?
No, I'm just over here nodding my head. I know you can't see me, but I'm just like, oh, wow.
Yeah, that's what's going on. This is what we provide. Okay. So let me answer. Let me ask and answer my own question here. Do you need a computer to save money on your mortgages? The answer is no. Do you need the P.I.L.L method system to pay off debt early? The answer is no. People have been paying off debt early, forever, and they've been saving interest forever. Here's the thing. They don't know when they're going to be done, and they don't know how much interest they're actually saving. And here's what also they don't know. What is the exact amount they need to pay at any given time to achieve their goals? Okay. Here's what we do. We make sure you pay the least amount of interest that's mathematically possible that doesn't get in the way of your ability to invest so that you can make money on one side and you can save money on the other side. With this program, we're going to be saving this particular client $1,372,979 in interest they don't need to pay on these properties. Now, if you can save $1.3 million in interest you don't have to pay to acquire the same asset, does that mean you have an additional $1.3 million you can invest somewhere else?
Yes.
What if you knew of that going in, instead of finding out later you spent too much money on interest?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. All right, so let me see here. I've got some things. I got some questions here to go over. Do you have any other questions for me, Big Lou?
The only question is how can I go about starting, accessing this program,
All right.
and
Here's
what if
what.
I need to set up a separate consultation with you?
Yes. So here's what you would do first. You would go to ICE, the number 10, the letter K.com, ICE10K.com. Okay. And when you do, you'll come to this screen, ICE10K.com, and you scroll down underneath ET's picture, and you'll see a button that says Get Your Savings and Earnings Report. Click that and start filling this out. It says here, get your free savings and earnings report. Do step 1. That will let you into step 2, where you tell us about the loans that you have, what's your minimum payments, how much you owe, income. Give us that information, and my staff will get it. And then they will give you a report that looks like this. You'll get one of these reports. Okay. And they're free. You'll know the month, day, and year you could be debt free, how much interest you could save, and if you want to work with us, what it takes to get started to work with us. And you'll find all of that out in the consultation. Our consultation is only $150 and it's guaranteed. If you don't get your money's worth out of that consultation, you just tell us, this wasn't worth it to me. We give you the $150 right back before the end of the call.
Okay.
Okay. So you have nothing to lose here. Okay. You got everything to gain and nothing to lose. Anything else? Go to ice10k.com, or you can go to pillmethod.com, see the same button, get a savings and earnings report, fill it out, and my staff will call you within 48 hours to confirm the numbers. Once we have the numbers confirmed that we have them in correctly, we can produce your results. If you like the results, they'll set up a consultation for you. Okay.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right, sir. Thank you very much for helping us out today. You helped a lot of people learn a lot of stuff today.
I appreciate that. I'm glad that people got to see the inside of this.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So listen, I got something here from Danielle. She says, but if you double down payment, is that different from making the payment separately? Well, the thing is, Danielle, putting the right amount of money is important. I was just giving you some basic information on what happens when you prepay. You see, we've never been told what happens when you prepay. We just know that if you pay more, you get out of debt cheaper and faster. You just don't know how cheap and how fast. You see, most of us have paid extra on a car loan, on a mortgage, on a student loan, all kinds of loans, credit cards. We've paid more than the minimum payment. But here's what you didn't get: a receipt from the bank saying, thank you for the extra payment. Here's how much interest you saved. They don't tell us that. If you knew that $200 or $300 could save you $1,000 or $2,000 in interest, you would get ideas. This is why you don't know how much you're saving. This is why it's important for you to know the truth about how these loans are. So the same amount of money, this is crazy. Here we go. Let me put that back on the screen. The same amount of money. Let me see. Where did that go? Okay, there it is. The same amount of money that they're charging you. Look here. Here's a situation: $1,700. The same amount of money that they're charging you is the same amount of money you could save if you prepay this amount. That is amazing. Okay. All right. All right. I see. Let me see here. I got something online here. We got some Harvest on watching us on YouTube. It says, are you hustling these people? All right. And Harvest also wants to know if I'm hustling people. What else do you say, Harvest? Let's put this on the screen. It says, at best, you're a meaningless middleman, and at worst, you're a snake oil salesman. All right, Harvest. I'm thank you for your comment, but I don't think everybody agrees with you. I think we're showing them what really happens when you prepay these loans. What's actually happening here on this loan that we put on the screen using an amortization schedule from online, okay, Harvest, from online. This gentleman gave me his loan, $386,000 at 5.5%, gave us his payment. And at 5.5, the bank wants him to pay $403,000 interest on a $386,000 loan. Now, I think the snake oil is here, where you're paying 5.5%, but this $403,000 is not 5.5% of $386,000 borrowed. I'm just saying. What it really is, Harvest, is your 5.5% really means 104%. And anybody can look at this by going to, here's where you need to go to brettwhistle.net. Put the numbers in for yourself, and you can see it for yourself. Now, what I'm showing is if you prepay $425, you don't have to pay $1,700 in interest. Okay. And now I can prove it. What I'm showing people is how to save interest. And if you do the math, you can save even more. All right. So, what is our program doing that people can't do for themselves? Here it is. If you have 5 variables, ladies and gentlemen, 5 variables, meaning I've got some money, I got some loans, I got different days I can pay it on, I've got a different amount of interest that they're charging me daily. So there are a bunch of variables. If you have 5 variables, okay, then you can do any one of these 5 in a different order. You could do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You could do number 2 first. You could do number 3 first. You have a number of different ways that you can do these things. Here's what we're talking about. I'm going to put in here 5 and then an exclamation point. If you put in 5 exclamation point and hit enter, that's called factorial math. That's 120 different ways you can line up those 5 variables so that you get 120 different permutations. 120 different ways to line those up. One of them is optimum. Which one is it? But when you have debt, when you have loans, you have more than 10 variables to consider. More than 10. Okay? So what we're going to do is put in 10 exclamation point. Okay? And now 10 exclamation point means out of all the things that I have to consider, there are 3,628,800 different ways to look at my money that I'm not even aware of, but only one of them saves me the most money. So Harvest, I've already told people they don't need me to save money. They don't need me to save the most amount of money. They don't need my company, and they certainly don't need my computer program to save money. But if you want to save the most amount of money that's mathematically possible, then you do need our opportunity cost calculator that looks at over 3.6 million ways to handle your money and comes up with the one right way that's going to save you the most money. Otherwise, you're going to pay more interest than you need to pay. And who wants to pay more interest than they need to pay? That's what we do. That's what we're bringing to the table, Harvest. And listen, everybody everybody's comment is important. Okay. So even the ones that disagree with what we're doing, they have value as well. Okay. There we are. So, and I can understand your skepticism because you have been told, you've been sold a bill of goods all these years telling you that 5.5% or 7% was really 7%, when in fact, 7% interest really means 139% interest. That's where the snake oil is, Harvest, right there. The way we're handling loans right now, the way that we've been taught. And that's why it sounds so foreign, because now you're learning the right way to handle it. Any other questions? So let me look on, I did that online. Let me go back to YouTube. Let me go back to Clubhouse and see if there's anything else in here. It says, Tawana Williams, how do I do this? All right. Tawana, I don't know what you want to do. Do you want to do your own amortization schedule? You can go to brettwhistle.net. His name is spelled B-R-E-T, first name, B-R-E-T, last name Whistle, W-H-I-S-S-E-L. If you want to do your own amortization schedule. If you want to work with us, just go to ice10k.com and click on the button that says Get a Savings and Earnings Report. Okay? And then see how we can help you there. All right. Jerry Smith says, can you show an example of this method with credit card debt? Okay. All right. Let's talk about this example with credit card debt. I had this question just this past weekend. Are you all ready? You want to know? I'm going to show a common mistake with credit card debt. So I need you all to put in the chat a number 7 if you're interested in a very common mistake people make with credit cards. Put a number 7 in the chat right now, and I'll show you. Put a number 7 in the chat right now, and I'll show you. All right. Hey, Daphne, what are you doing with no moderator badge? Okay, there you go. All right, got Daphne. I got Jonathan in here. All right, Shelly put a number 7 in. Okay, Steve Mack put a number 7 in. C. Miller put a number 7 in. All right, let me show you something that's crazy. Big Lou put a number 7 in. Let me show you something that's crazy, crazy, crazy. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna put Big Lou's mortgage in here. Okay. $386,000 at 5.5. I had a person talk to me about, I have several $1,000s on credit card debt. And to handle that, what I did was I moved the credit card debt over to a 0% interest credit card. Anybody ever do that? Does that sound like a good idea to do? I love 0% credit cards. Okay. They should move all the debt over to the 0% credit cards. And then when the terms start running out, all right, did such a good job of paying these credit cards off, they extended it for a certain period of time. But every time they extended, there was a fee that they charge. I don't have a problem with the fee because of all the interest saved. Okay, there's going to be a fee to transfer those balances. And so we were talking about the difference of fee and interest and all of that. And I said, the fee is nothing. Don't worry about that. Okay. So now here's what they're doing to pay off. And I didn't know exactly how much their credit card debt was, but probably somewhere between 10 and 20 grand. Okay. All right. So now they're not paying any interest on that at all. So what they said was they're taking about $1,500 a month, $1,200 to $1,500 a month, and plopping it down so that they can pay that credit card debt off faster. Does that sound like what they need to do to make sure that they get it done within the 12 months? Is that what you do? Get a credit card at 0% interest. While at 0% interest, you're saving big time. Pay that off before the end of the term. If that's what you do, or that you think that's what you should do, put a number 5 in the chat. Put a number 5 in the chat if you think that's what you should do. Pay the credit card off before the 12 months is up, because if you don't, guess what? You have to pay all the accrued interest for the year. Okay, it comes due instantly right after 12 months. Okay, Steve Mack says 5, B King says 5. That's what we should do. Okay, now here's the next thing I asked. Do you have a mortgage? The answer was yes. Okay, so here's what's happening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to put in how you should put credit cards in to this system. Okay, so let's put in Brett Whistle. Okay, we're going to put in about $15,000 in principal. Okay, 15,000. Now the number of payments, all credit cards are amortized over 240 months. So you have to do this if you're putting if you're trying to figure credit card interest. 240 goes here where 360 used to be. And let's put in an average of 15% interest, okay, on $15,000. 15% interest on $15,000, okay? Now, we're going to calculate, and I'm going to show you the first interest payment, okay? Your interest-only payment, the first interest payment is only $187.50. I need you to see this right now. $187.50. So, even at 15% interest, if you paid this $15,000 off today, here's what you would save: $197.52. There it is. Do you see what I'm talking about, folks? Interest rate and interest cost are not the same thing. So you see 15% interest. Well, listen, Don, that's 15% interest, but I've got 25% interest. 25% interest on $15,000. Look at this. Even 25% interest on $15,000 is the interest payment on that is $312.50. Okay. So what we're talking about is $312.50. So if I have that interest for a year, okay, $312.50. So let me put my calculator on the screen. Okay. $312 times 12 months. I don't pay that off. I owe $3,852 to the credit card company right now. If I don't pay that $15,000 off in 12 months, I'm going to owe them $3,852. All right. So here's what Don Daniel says. If I have a 0% card, I'm not looking at paying off the card. I'm paying them minimum payments. What? Yeah, I'm paying them minimum payments. Guess what I'm doing with my $15,000? Okay. If I have this mortgage, right? Remember, I said they're putting around $1,500 a month on just to pay it off on time, $1,200 to $1,500, right? Well, look at this. If I put $1,700 on the mortgage, on this mortgage, I knock off 4 payments and save $7,000 in interest right now with just one of those payments they're using to put on free money. Right now, the credit cards are free money. 0 interest. We are focusing on paying the wrong debt. We're paying off the debt that's charging us $0 right now. What? Yeah, paying $0 right now on the wrong debt. Let me ask you, folks, is that what we've been doing? Yes, it is. So let me ask you, if I put to $15,000, 15,000, let me show you cumulative principal. If I pay the $15,000 instead of paying off the credit card, I put the $15,000 on this mortgage, even at 5.5%. Let me go down to $15,000. I knock off 33 payments off this loan. That's over 2.5 years. How much interest do I save on my mortgage? 57 grand. So let me ask you, even if they charge me $3,800, all I have to do is ask myself a simple question. Would I pay Visa $3,800 so that I can use their money to put on my mortgage to save $57,000 in interest and knock off over 2.5 years off my mortgage using their money? You tell me, ladies and gentlemen, you tell me. How I use 0% cards is to make sure that I'm not paying any interest over here so that I can put it on another debt that's charging me a larger interest cost, not interest rate. And if I keep an eye on it, I can use most of the year. To put money on this debt and then put a little bit on the side, so that I can make sure that I can knock off the credit card debt on time as well. It's a timing thing. But I'm not going to take money up front and put it on a credit card when I can take that same upfront money and put it on the mortgage and knock out all kinds of interest on this mortgage. $1,700 kills $7,000 worth of interest on this thing. But do you see the difference between interest rate and interest cost? That's what we're talking about. Let me see what else I have here. All right. Before we get out of here, because Jonathan, are you ready? Are you ready to go? To take over here in a couple of minutes? I don't know. Maybe he's trying to text me. I don't know. Let me see. All right. Okay. I'm not seeing here. All right. I'm not seeing anything. All right. So what we're talking. So do you see what I'm talking about? We want to make sure that we understand amortization. We want to make sure that we're understanding credit card interest, because when you have even a very large, even when you have a very large interest rate, but you have a small principal payment, your interest cost is relatively small when compared to a mortgage. Okay? Don't let interest rate fool you. Okay? Let me see here. I'm looking at all my questions here. Bruh Crazy says the pill method is swallowing a cyanide capsule after you lost money on Ethereum. Excuse me. I'm sorry. That's funny. That is funny. It says, I have questions for you, Bruh Crazy. Is Bruh Crazy still in here? Raise your hand if you are. Raise your hand if you're still in here. Okay, I think they had to leave. Sorry, I missed it. Sorry, I missed you. Listen, here's your time. Well, until Jonathan is ready, here's your time to ask more questions. You can come on the stage. Okay, let me see if I have any questions. Why wouldn't you just go to a real financial advisor? Why wouldn't you go to a real financial advisor? Okay, here's the thing. Every financial advisor I have ever talked to, okay, in 19 years. And if you know a financial advisor, okay, you can ask them the same question. When you were in school studying to be a financial advisor, did they ever go over how to read an amortization schedule? Every single time, the answer is going to be no. How can anybody advise you on how to handle loans if they've never been taught how a loan actually works? Let me tell you, financial advisors, your CPA, your brother or sister that's an MBA, has a master's in business, your real estate agent, your loan officer. None of those people have learned how a loan works. If you have been in here listening to me for the last 2 hours, okay, you know more about, if you listen, just go to, because this is live now. This is live right now on YouTube and on Facebook. Go to our Facebook page, go to our YouTube channel. You can study this. You know more about loans and how they work and how to beat the system than all the people I just mentioned, because they are not taught how a loan works. They're not. And if you are a loan officer in here right now, if you're a real estate agent in here right now, if you are a financial planner in here right now, you know that to be the truth. Okay? I'm not talking about anybody. I'm saying, I'm not trying to say anything bad. I'm saying there's a reason why people are not taught how a loan actually works. How did that get left out of our financial education? Was it by mistake that how a loan works is left out of our financial education? I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm just asking a question. Okay? All right, B King. I see your fire emojis. I see your fire emojis, B King. Okay? And Big Lou says, focus on interest cost, not interest rate. You're so right. Not focus on interest cost. How much does it cost you in real dollars and cents? Not just the interest rate. My. Big Lou, you've got it, man. You got it. You're beginning to see what banks don't want you to see. All right? You're beginning to see what banks don't want you to see. All right. Anybody else got any questions for me? Anything else? Because what we were talking about today is how real estate investors are leaving way too much money on the table. Way too much money on the table. Can I show you something else before Jonathan comes in to take over? Because he's going to let me know when he's ready. Okay. Jonathan, you just break in. Daphne, you all break in when you're ready to go with the next segment. Okay. Just let me know. So let me pull this up. Okay. Let me pull this back up. And we're looking at this example of a real estate investor. Okay. Let me show you something here. The amount of interest that this real estate investor is saving, if they were to put that to work, because we track how much interest they're saving to acquire the same asset. The bank wants them to pay $1 million in interest, $1.1 million in interest to acquire these two buildings. But what if we could acquire the same two buildings and not pay the bank and save $891,000? That's money I don't have to spend to acquire the same buildings. So what if I were to invest that money in something else? Over the next 17 years, this real estate investor wanted to, it can turn that money that he didn't give to the bank into $9,300,000. This is what I'm saying. Real estate investors are leaving millions of dollars on the table. If you give it to the bank when you don't have to, then you can't also invest it and make compound interest with that money. And this is only 1% return on their money. This is what we're giving. Everybody gets this. If you don't give that money to the bank, we're going to show you in a certain period of time how much that money could earn for you at 1% return on your money. And in this case, it's $9 million. And I guarantee you, this real estate investor ain't making 1% on the money they're investing. Okay. At least 20% cash on cash return. This is amazing. Real estate investors, I don't care how much money you're making, you're leaving millions of dollars on the table because you're giving it to the bank when you should be investing it in your own ability to increase your portfolio. Does this make sense, people? Does this make sense? Put some fire emojis in the chat if you like this. Listen, go to my Instagram, go to the Pill Method Instagram, and share the last video that you see there. Would you do that for me? Would you follow me on Instagram and share the videos? I would appreciate it. Will you follow us on, will you subscribe to our YouTube channel? I've got the link up there, okay, at the top. And I'm going to put in the chat, I'm going to put ICE 10K, ICE 10K.com. There we go. ICE10K.com. And listen, I got to do another I got to get ready for another radio interview here. Let me see what take a quick look at my calendar. So I'm going to do another interview and I got to get ready for that. Yeah, at the top of the hour, okay? At the top of the next hour. So I got to do some preparation. So unless I've got a quick question here, okay? I don't see any other questions. I think Jonathan and Daphne are going to take over. Jonathan, Daphne, are you there? Talk to me. Hello. Okay, because it's getting ready to go silent. I'm not going to shut the room down. They'll come in when they need to and take over. But I want to thank you for being with me for the first 2 hours of the day. All right. I want to thank you, everybody. So remember, go to ICE10K.com. All right. Get a savings and earnings report. Oh, and go to our Instagram, follow us there, and watch some of our short form videos. Okay. And we're going to be I usually post the ones that, you know, people ask questions and we answer the question. So we have a ton of that on our Instagram. So follow us there. And we have YouTube channels. All right. We've got our go to ICE10K.com and you can also see all of our social media. Okay. Even we have a LinkedIn page. So follow us on all social media. Just search all your social media and put in Pill Method. And if we're there on your social media, it'll pop up. Follow us there. All right. Shelly, thank you for being here. Karen, thank you for being here. M. Boland, Tucker Ma at 444. Thank you for being here. That's what she had to say about Harvest. Harvest, don't worry about it. Okay. I understand. It's kind of hard to hear at first, but keep watching my videos because they're free. We're not selling those. You can watch all my videos and get this information for free. All right. So that's it. I think that's it for today, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to be back here next Wednesday with some more information on how we're getting ready for season 4 of Pill Method Live. And we are gearing up to write our second book. Here's what people need to know. And I'm going to get into this much deeper in the book and going over this information this year on season 4. All of this information should have been taught to us since 1936. The first self-amortizing mortgage was in 1936 for a 20-year mortgage. We have had no information on that in all of these years because these mortgages have to look attractive to investors. We're going to get into all of that. Okay. Why haven't we, as the general public, been taught how loans actually work? This is the purpose for which I am on the planet, to reveal all of this truth to you so that you can know how you can borrow money at a discount, take that money that you would have paid in interest and invest it in your families and turn it into generational wealth. That is what we're going to be talking about this season. Thank you so much, everybody. I'm out of here. We're going to let me pull up get my music ready so I can say goodbye. And we're going to be back next Wednesday. Watch for my show on Friday. It's coming up, and watch for my show on Sunday morning at 8:30 a.m. Central Time, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. we have another show where we're going to be going over some more valuable information. Don't miss these shows. Share them with your friends. Okay. So we are out of here, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you next week, right back here when we do a live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Clubhouse. See you next week. Bye-bye.